This episode of Off the Job Podcast is sponsored by Gas Certificate App.
You're the boss. Stop chasing certs across emails, scraps of paper and group chats. Get everything sorted in one slick app. 30% off for new users with code POD30. Boom.
This episode of Off the Job Podcast is sponsored by FlexiGas.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Job. Today we've got two special guests. Not often we have two guests, is it?
No, who are we first?
My name's Kieran.
And I'm Pete.
And today we've got John from Testo, a technical expert at Testo. And we've got Chirag. No, I'm not going to say this.
Chirag Panchal.
Panchal from CP Utility Solutions.
And make sure you put the whole name
It's really
in.
good how he prepped for this, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's done a little list of everything here today, look, and he couldn't get his name right. What's that tell you?
But yeah, thanks for coming on. I think we're all going to learn, well, me and Pete are going to learn something new today.
We want to learn something new.
And hopefully the viewers. Yeah, it'd be great to get a bit of a background. We've had obviously Chirag on before, but yeah, it'd be great to have a background on both of you as well.
I'll go first. John from Testo. Been with Testo now 15 years. Originally started as a sales guy for them, so outselling the range of products primarily to the heating refrigeration industry. But then moved across to being product manager for the last few years. And that's looking after all the range of Testo instruments that we're all familiar with. So from the technical side, I've become sort of the face of Testo from technical questions and applications expertise. So that's me.
How long's Testo been going? A bit of backstory on Testo.
Yeah, so Testo as a manufacturer, we're obviously a German company, still family owned, which is quite unusual these days in sort of bigger companies. We've been going just over 60 years in Europe.
Can you speak German, John?
Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Yeah, my German's pretty rusty. I did learn many years ago, but it's not particularly brilliant at the moment, but enough to get me by.
Good stuff.
Ordering beers, that's the main thing. As long as you can order some beer,
definitely.
You'll be fine. But yes, about 60 years we've been around. Our background, obviously, from this industry, most people know us for the flue gas analysers, which has been bedrock of the Testo business for a number of years. But as a manufacturer, we've also been supplying equipment to test engineers in refrigeration, heat pumps, air conditioning, ventilation, temperature measurement for food and pharmaceuticals. So, people might know Testo just for flue gas, but we're a massive, massive manufacturer of instrumentation generally. And we're very proud of our German heritage and very proud of our quality, because to us, that's the bedrock. If you're going to buy an instrument, and particularly something to maybe, install a boiler, you've got to have total faith that instrument's going to give you the correct readings day in, day
Kieran
out.
thinks you're talking about guitars now. Because he likes playing the guitar, isn't he?
The wrong sort of instrument as far as Testo.
Testo have built that. Now you think of Testo and you think robust, don't you?
Yeah.
For some reason, they've inbred that sort of.
German engineering's always been well known for
I mean, we're already used to buying.
How many boilers out there are German?
Yeah, German cars, and all the German companies, the thing they always tend to be the bedrock of the business is about quality and reliability.
Yeah.
And same with Testo.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a family-owned company still, and must be a big family.
We've just recently had some major changes. We've had one of the key people has stepped down and still on the managing board of Testo, but very much his children are coming through will be directors of the business, but very, very proud of what they've built over the years.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's impressive. Yeah, Chirag.
I'm Chirag from CP Utility Solutions, and if you search for that, make sure you do put in the whole word.
Yeah, we've been through that before.
That before. I'm a gas engineer. Started off in social housing initially, and then after a few years in there, went into self-employment. I've actually been fortunate enough to visit the Testo factory earlier this year, so I can echo what John said about the family-run business. When you go there, you feel that they do look after not only the products but their staff as well, and I think that's very important. Where you haven't got a high staff turnover and it's a family-run business, they're taking care of the people, they're taking care of the products, and you can definitely see that. We did the factory tour and everything, and we saw everything being made and how intricate everything is and how much sort of care and attention that they take into their instruments. And people may see on social media that there's people who are working with brands just for the sake of getting a bit of coin or something like that. But the most important thing for me is I always work with brands that I trust and I use their products. And to go to the factory and to actually see how the product's been made, it just gives you a little bit more faith, and it sort of concretes that reassurance that you are working with a company who care about the product, what they're putting out to the market, because it's not cheap stuff that they sell, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It's very true, and it's like anything. It's people want to pay a cheap price, but you're going to get a cheap product or cheap service.
Exactly.
End up paying twice.
You've got to look, when you're talking about test equipment, you've got to look beyond the price. You've really got to look at, and particularly something like a flue gas analyzer, again, where you're talking about, it's not just about buying the product, you've got the yearly service calibration. Do your homework, look beyond the cheap headline prices that some companies may offer, and really try and do your homework and pick the right product.
And also in terms of the size of the company, like you said, until I visited the factory, I didn't realize how big Testo are in terms of the variety of instruments that they do. They had, we had the test scenarios in terms of like the restaurants and the catering side and all that. They had little dummy areas built up. And you don't realize how much of the instruments are in sort of everyday places that we would visit, but we would actually have no idea that the instruments are here.
Yeah, no, it just gives you some insight. Doesn't it? It's like when I've been to various companies, you go around and you go, I never actually knew they did that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's it's good to have that insight into it. Yeah.
So we're going to get into damp and mould today. Yeah. Nothing that we've ever spoke about before.
Damp and mould.
Yeah, it's a new thing. Awaab's law. I'm going to say Awaab's law.
Awaab's law. So
Awaab's law.
The reason it's called Awaab's law is it was a very tragic backstory to the whole law that's come in. So Awaab Ishak was a 2-year-old boy who very, very sadly died this in 2020. And the reason he died was because of the damp mould in the property he was basically living in with his family was so bad.
Right.
Obviously the mould is black mould. The spores from it are dangerous, and ultimately it tragically led to his death. And when you think, we think of children dying in their own home or something like in the Victorian era. This is in 2020. This is still happening. It should not happen. And the only good thing, hopefully, that will ever come out of this tragedy is the law that was named after him will hopefully change social housing forever.
So we can prevent it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when has that started, Awaab's law?
So the original discussion on this was in 2023, but it was basically mandated. The law came into effect 27th of October this year, so literally a few weeks back.
Yeah, you don't realise, people, when they see a bit of mould, they think that's all right, but you don't realise breathing
I remember
that
seeing
in
it as
long term has
I
an
remember
effect
seeing
on
it
you.
as a kid. My mum and dad lived in a council flat, and it was always at the top of the walls in the bedrooms and stuff like that. And it's like, they
bathrooms,
do.
you
They
get it all
try
the time.
preventative measures like extra ventilation and this, that, and the other. I mean, I was only a kid. I didn't know about it really. Nobody really knew what it could do and all that. But you do see some places now, still, like you say, in 2025. Which would be something like out of the 70s or 80s. And you think to yourself, how's that?
There's a scary statistic that I was reading literally the last few weeks. They were saying 5% of the housing stock in the UK is probably suffering long-term problems from mould. That's 1.5 million properties.
My friend had it. He was like struggling breathing, went to hospital, and they found out it was just some type of mould in his house.
So what is the cause then? What are we seeing? Why are we seeing this happening? What is the cause mainly?
If we look at the root cause, what causes mould? The key thing that will start mould growth off is moisture. The moisture is coming from, effectively, you've got too much moisture in the air in the property. So if you think about the average property, maybe 4 people living in it, each person in their day-to-day life, just breathing out water vapour, drying clothing, having a shower, each person generates 2.5 kilos of water. So you're putting that into the atmosphere. Most houses now, unfortunately, because we've had double glazed windows and things since the 70s, and we've had this whole drive to make houses more efficient from a heat perspective, so we've sealed up all the airflow. So what are we doing with that moisture that's in the air? It can't go anywhere. What then happens, obviously, if you've got sufficiently high moisture value in the air, but you get cold walls, you get condensation. And that condensation, if left unchecked, that is the perfect breeding ground for mould. So it all comes directly back to the cause of mould, in nearly all cases, is down to high humidity levels or high moisture. The only way you can get rid of that is to make the house somehow breathe better. You've got to get rid of that damp air. So it ultimately comes down to some form of ventilation. And that could be something as simple as trickle vents in windows.
Yeah, because some windows don't have, like an old house, they don't have no vents. Yeah.
No, it could mean putting, particularly in a room like a bathroom or a kitchen where there's going to be lots of water vapour, an extraction fan or system. It could ultimately mean in some properties you having to put some sort of major ventilation system in, but seeing something called MVHR, which is mechanical ventilation heat recovery in some properties. But to get rid of the root cause of mould, you've got to be looking at better airflow. I mean, it's interesting. When you think about old properties, dear old lady's little cottage, built 100 years ago, they never had mould problems because the whole house tended to be breathy.
Yeah.
There was air movement because the windows didn't seal, there was gaps around the windows. So you didn't tend to have mould issues. We've created this almost in a modern context by making houses so damn airtight.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a trade-off between heat loss and moisture.
Yep.
FlexiGas, no dramas, no nonsense, just quality pipework that gets the job done. Your next install just got easier.
Because like I say, no one really, it don't bother anyone, no one really cares. Like, do you see it much, or are you not just aware? Because we're not made to be aware of it. Do you see it much in houses, or do you think, there's mould?
I saw it more when I was working in social housing.
Yeah.
I don't see it so much now when I do private housing, unless it's something, when you go to a rental property and the tenants, they're just not looking after it. Those sort of scenarios I've seen a few places where, like you said, you see the black mould in the corners of the ceiling and stuff like that. And don't really think anything of it because you think, it's a bit of mould, wipe it away with a bit of bleach or something, give it a clean. But then that's just masking the problem. You're not eliminating the problem. Like, even in my bathroom, every so often, around the silicone and stuff, it's just where it gets wet, the water can't go anywhere. You clean it, and then a few weeks later, you see it starting to come back a little bit, and you clean it again. But it's just like you said, John, it's just about proper ventilation.
But why do we see it more so in social housing?
I just think, and I'll be dead honest here, I just think it's because the tenants, because they don't feel it's their property, they don't feel that they have a right to look after it, or they have a responsibility, to look after the property as if it's their own. They're like, whatever it is, they don't think that it's affecting their health. All they care about is, I'm not going to pay for it. It's not my house. Get the council to do it, or get the housing association to do it.
Could it be connection of you say you put 2.5, what was it? Kilos of moisture into the air. Could it be that they're around the house more often?
Possibly.
I'm not, that's controversial, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Could it be that they're indoors more often? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's more
the root cause is the house itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
If that can cope with it.
I mean, the actual main makeup of the house and that, obviously. But obviously,
but that's a varying factor.
We're seeing it more in a house where there's maybe more people because they're squeezed in more. Do you know what I mean? More people.
Ultimately, it could be multiple occupancy. As you say, more people, more equals more water vapour.
Yeah.
It could even be coming down to, we're talking about some people who will be living, not on the breadline, but
blocking up
close to
vents that are actually...
because they're trying to keep the heating
Yeah.
the
Gas
property.
fires.
Yeah, not wanting to run the heating as hot.
Yeah.
So therefore the walls are colder. It's going to be more likely to hit dew
Yeah,
points.
There's so many factors.
Yeah, it's such a complicated aspect, I think.
Yeah.
So what are they putting in place then? What has to happen?
So with Awaab's law, social landlords now have a very clear sort of guidelines. It's almost like a flow chart that breaks down what they have to do if a tenant has reported a problem. And it's not only a tenant reporting a problem, if they're using contractors doing gas boiler work, there is ultimately a responsibility on those contractors now to report back to the company and say, we've been into a property maybe to do a regular boiler service and we've seen problems with mould.
Right. Sorry, John, just because that banging on table will go through the mic. Sorry, John.
Get on me. So yeah, there's a proper flow chart they have to follow now, but it basically breaks down into two aspects. If it's deemed a emergency hazard, then basically the landlord's got to act within 24 hours. So there's a very, very tight timeline now for them to actually start some form of investigation and work. If it's not seen as an emergency hazard, it's then downgraded to what they call a significant hazard. So it's still a significant risk of harm. That gives them a little bit more leeway. They've then got to do an investigation within 10 working days, and then actually do any relevant safety work within 5 working days of that investigation. So what it now very clearly lays out is, from a landlord's perspective, once a problem is reported, they have to act in a very, very defined time. There's none of this, well, we'll get round to it, whenever there's some work going on in the property or whenever there's something scheduled. They've got quite tight timeline to follow now. But what's interesting is when we think about, we're talking here about primarily damp and mould, but with regards to Awaab's law, it actually covers things like gas leaks and carbon monoxide leaks that would be seen as a significant hazard, or emergency hazard, in fact. Broken boilers, no water supply, major water leaks, even down to the actual fabric of the home. Has it got broken windows and doors that's letting in damp?
So basically, our employees taking on all that social people in rented accommodation type,
not
safety.
just social.
Well, not social. Well,
it's
private rent, whatever.
Yeah, it's the large social housing is initial private landlords that will be coming in I believe in about another year's time.
I wonder why they haven't just done both at the same time. Like, what's the prevention from putting the law on both? It's a bit strange there.
Yeah, council are initially a landlord, didn't they? I suppose, but it's basically to cover the safety of everyone within that property.
Correct. Yeah.
It's probably not a bad thing to get into there. Like, who would you call to do that? Like, damp specialists. Well, they might do like rising damp and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
how do you test though as well? Like for the actual moisture in the air and that is this where you come in on board with equipment of testing of like moisture in the air, etc.?
Okay, so if we're now saying, as a landlord, how do we try and determine what's happening within a building? Obviously, if you go into a building and there's already significant mould present, you act on that. That's where they would then bring in, probably, if they've not got it in-house, they'll bring in a special remediation company who will look to remove the mould, possibly have to treat the walls, maybe even repaint, completely redecorate the house. But if you are going into a property that's not maybe showing signs of mould, but you think potentially there could be a risk, how do you understand this risk? Again, going back to boilers, we know to test a boiler we put a flue gas analyzer. How do we test for mould and damp? There's nothing really on the market where you can actually do almost like a swipe test that will then say that's got mould. What you're typically looking at is being able to diagnose where is moisture. So you'd have something maybe as simple as a moisture meter, that is a device where you can actually apply it to the walls, and it's looking at the moisture content. And that's where you'd look at, typically, if you've got something like rising damp, something with a moisture meter, you can actually almost track the moisture level as you're coming up the wall. The other thing you could do is try and understand and assess what's going on in the environment, the ambient within the building. So temperature and humidity, we know, are two key factors. So with something as simple as a device called a thermohygrometer, you can measure air temperature and air humidity. And this can be something that is measuring just at a spot at that single moment in time when you're in the building, or you could put some almost data loggers in there and monitor that over a period of weeks. That could reveal information such as, if you're getting a significant humidity spike every couple of days, is that because they're putting, for example, the washing on a dryer in the building, and that moisture is then being transferred from the washing into the air. Being able to monitor maybe what's happening on a temperature and humidity basis could be quite useful. But we thought there was maybe something we could do with a slightly different technology. And what we've looked at is adapting a device which we've had in the Testo range for a number of years, which is thermal imaging cameras. So thermal imaging, people have probably seen it, whether it's on the TV programs when the police are using it to track somebody. It's a way, thermal imaging is a way of seeing heat visually. Yeah. So the way thermal imaging works is it's looking at the temperature on the surface of an object. But if we know the surface temperature, and we also know the air temperature and air humidity from this thermohygrometer, we can combine the readings, and what the camera will now do is, rather than show us the picture of the temperature on the surface as a surface temperature, it'll actually show us what the dew point risk is. Right. So effectively it's moisture potential. So the camera, and this is where it's quite unique, it can actually give the user a visual indication, a picture, if you like, of areas that are going to be prone to damp.
Right.
And if they're prone to damp, you know that if that damp is left unchecked, it's going to be mold
So you
growth.
can do something about it before it gets
Exactly. It's that preventative method. You can go into a property now with this sort of system, assess the rooms individually, find rooms that are at risk, and then put some strategy in for saying, we've got to get rid of this humidity level.
Yeah.
How do we ventilate? Because ultimately that is what they're going to need to do. They're going to need to come up with some form of strategy to put ventilation into the property.
Yeah. And while we're at it, because some people who might watch this might not know what they're looking out for, but like bless him, Awaab is, what sort of like symptoms are we looking at here in people who are being affected by mould?
Normally, it's seen initially as respiratory issues. People find almost like asthma conditions, finding it hard to breathe. It can cause some people to have skin reactions, itchy in the eyes. There is a number of different ailments people will have if they are living in a property that is basically got damp and mould.
Yeah. Okay.
Do they have to do like a yearly check or anything? Or is it just if there's a reported mould?
Most social housing companies, from what I understand, will have a maintenance regime for all their properties anyway. So they will probably have some form of regular checks going in on the properties. What we're hoping is these extra tools will add another layer when they're going in to do these inspections.
Yeah.
They can actually use this as
Belt
another
and
way.
brace. Yeah.
So with the social side, obviously, they'll use their engineers, but when it comes into the private sort of rented sector, that's going to open up quite a lot of work.
Yeah, that's where contractors are going to have to, again, maybe start to understand what Awaab's law is really asking from an investigation perspective, and they're going to have to try and upskill and maybe buy equipment to be able to offer private landlords. Well, if you're having to do a survey as part of this overall damp and mould inspection, have you got the equipment and capability to do it?
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be like a general builder then? Because it could be they might need a fan, which is electric. They might need vents in windows, which is a window fitter. Like there's no specific.
It'll go down as like some sort of report, wouldn't it? You'll have like your landlord's report. It'll go down as could become another part of, like you say, it might be down to like the contractors going in to do like a landlord safety check, or maybe electrician. If there's no gas in the property, it might be down to the electrician to go in and go, hold on a minute, this is a report on damp and mould wire. Obviously that'll go on the price of the report, because they're all reports, aren't they? And then that's up to the landlord to act on it. Do you know what I mean? We've given you advice, this is what you do with it, as we do with our landlord's reports. Do you know what I mean? That's what it
Just thinking about kitchens, because like cooking and that creates moisture, doesn't it?
That's why
So
you
like
extract the fans, Kieran.
But sometimes, I suppose as long as that will cause it. But some people will open a window, wouldn't they? And like, I'm just trying to think: is there anything where it could be a tenant's problem rather than?
Oh, absolutely. We've already spoken. Again, I've got sympathies with both sides. I've got sympathy with obviously the people who are having to live in properties that have got damp and mould issues. I've also got a certain amount of sympathy for some of the social housing companies, because we've spoken to some who say we've been in and we've found properties where there's a moisture issue, and we've tried to help the tenants. I've heard stories of they put an extractor fan in the bathroom and then gone back a year's time, because there's been another problem, to find the extractor fans full of expanded foam, or there's a piece of wood stuck over the end of it.
They might not turn the extractor fan on in the kitchen
pull the
for
fuse
whatever
out, the oscillator.
reason.
Sometimes you've maybe got to educate some of the tenants why this equipment's been installed and why they need to have ventilation. But it is a problem also for the social landlords. I actually understand, the perspective on this as well.
I mean, obviously, like we have room sealed appliances now and gas boilers and that, so that cuts out the ventilation in the properties straight away, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Whereas when you had old open flue gas boilers, you had to make sure you had to have purpose built,
correct ventilation.
So maybe that has something to do with it as well. Like where we've.
But it's like you said, you can. There's two sides to the story. You can take a horse to water, you can't force it to drink.
Absolutely.
So you can put in all the provisions in place to prevent the damp and mould, but
if the tenant wants to ignore that,
then
old Chigs with his analogies. Yeah, I like it. He's good at analogies, isn't he, Chigs?
What about even redoing a bathroom? Say there's no extract fan in there, and the tenant don't want it.
No,
because it's an extra cost.
But you got to have it as a reg.
But
now.
that's not, that cost wouldn't be down to the tenant. That would be down to the
land.
social housing of the landlord. And
Yeah,
if
I'm thinking of more of a private house.
It's a regulation now, though, isn't it? You got a
Under
regulation.
Part F of the building regs,
Yeah.
it'll probably be covered through ventilation aspect from that.
Yeah, I was thinking more the private side. So
it's more of a case of like you put in all the extra work and effort and costs to put in the provisions, and the tenant just closes the door on it. It's like, whoa.
Private side is down to the person who lives in the house, isn't they? They're their own landlord, so that's down to them. You can't put any provisions on them, can you? But if they're renting it out and they become a landlord, then that's when it's.
So maybe that's part of the checks, like say extractor fans and that breaks. So there might be a yearly check or whatever to make sure the bathroom fans working and the kitchen extract fans working, because no one really unless the tenant flags it up, they're not checked, are they? In bathrooms, you get mould in there like a lot.
Yeah, you wonder whether almost it might, for the private sector, it might almost become part of like the landlord certificate, where as well as doing a yearly boiler inspection, they have to check for working fans, working ventilation, things like this.
So this new instrument is the 860i.
So the 860i is the thermal imaging camera. So we've already had this technology in the range for a number of years. The 860i has brought it to a much lower price point. I mean, one of the things with thermal imaging, for many years I've stood at shows and exhibitions and trade mornings. Everybody from the heating side loves thermal imaging.
Do you know what I could do with one of these, John? I could do one of these.
I'm making sure that goes back in my case.
I need one of these, John. I could do one of these. Yeah, I've always wanted a thermal imaging camera.
Well, you're in luck, because I've got a discount code for that.
Here he is with his analogies again, isn't he?
Code uncle.
Yeah, I mean, I've always used my hands on flame returns, but
Oh, that's hot. That's slightly cooler. That'll do.
Yeah, that's about 40 degrees difference. Probably a bit wrong on the old DTs there. But it looks a good bit of kit though, doesn't it? So what does this do? Does this link up to your phone or what?
And this is why we managed to bring it to a lower price point. One of the things with thermal imaging is it was always quite an expensive technology, but with this you basically link it with your phone or tablet. So your phone and tablet become the screen.
Yep.
That's the thermal imaging camera with the clever bit, and you use a Testo app, which is any of the guys who've been using the flue gas analyzer were probably already using the app. It's a free app that supports around 60 different Testo instruments now. But it basically turns your tablet or phone into a thermal imaging camera.
Right. Okay.
But you could use that, if you're a gas guy, as well as the whole idea of being able to maybe do this understanding of mould. There's some great applications for that. You can use it, say, for radiators. You can look at temperature difference to balance radiators. Use it to look at faults around the system. Obviously, be able to track pipe work under floors.
Would they ever make a Testo flue gas analyzer compatible with one of these?
Never say never.
Oh.
We're always looking to innovate. We're always looking to innovate.
I mean, I've only seen it just now, and I'm already thinking it, and he's already saying, keep them, because, you never know. Well, listen.
If it does come out, it'd be like, I said that.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just thinking, logical thinking, innit?
What's the feedback been from the social housing and stuff? What do you think they actually use at the minute, or what?
Well, up till now, they've not really had to worry about anything because Awaab's law hasn't been around. All the social housing companies we're talking to have had a massive issue in, if you like, getting ready for this. It's been a couple of years coming, but they've, it's been a lot for them to get into, educating the contractors and teams what to look for. They've had to put in provision to make sure that the whole working protocol is now when the guys are going in, they're not just doing the boiler inspection, they are visually checking for damp and mould and having a report back. So they've had a massive job in gearing up ready for Awaab's law. In some cases, they've taken on specialised teams. They've created their own damp and mould teams who are going around doing inspections. In other cases, they may be subcontracting it out to specialists. But for the social landlords, it's become quite a thing to gear up ready for Awaab's law to come in.
So when is that official date? Do we know the official date of when it is actually in?
27th of October.
He didn't listen
this year.
Oh, did you say it already?
It's now already been in law for 2 weeks.
Ah, right. So if you are a landlord
I wonder how they're
At the
telling.
moment, it's just for social.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, right,
just-
that's
private
socials.
yeah,
Right.
private landlords. It will be around about a year's time.
Yeah, that's the date I was asking for that one. Yeah.
They haven't actually said that because they are also next year expanding the number of different things that are classified as emergency or significant hazard. That will also be expanded out.
Oh yeah, did you say earlier what's the difference to
It really comes down to, I think
whether they're like in hospital or not?
well, certainly emergency hazards were ones we said about, broken boiler, gas or carbon monoxide leaks, no water supply. It's all the ones where there is an immediate risk to
Of health, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you go into it, Chirag?
To be honest, well, I mean, I don't know. Would there be any additional training that I'd have to do?
I would
in order to
imagine
be able
so.
to-
If you have to say is deemed
If there's
safe
a
or
law, they might
unsafe,
need
there's
some
got to be
training,
some
yeah.
sort of training, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that I can add another string to my bow, then yeah. And if it's another, as long as it's not too long of a course to do, because I've got the gas stuff. I've even done the F gas, and I still haven't done anything with the F gas stuff. But if it's something that I can do as part of going in to do like a landlord gas cert or something, then yeah.
Do you know if there's any training yet?
I've not seen anything particularly relevant to the mould side. What we are seeing is obviously, we're going back to what we were saying, the way to get rid of it is airflow. Lots and lots of the companies who make ventilation fans are all got training schools where you can go on a course, learn to install the fans, be able to measure the airflow before and after to prove it's working. So that side of it is already there. We may well see training providers pop up now for the more damp and mould side. I mean, there is some training out there. It tends to be more for companies who are doing flood damage to buildings, because that's obviously one of the biggest areas where if you've got moisture in a building, it can often be from flooding. There is some training available there, but we may well see specialist training centres set up for mould and damp.
So is it going to be a case where we're going to get certain tradesmen in the future and they're going to go, what do you do? What trade is yours? And they're going to go, OnlyFans.
Oh, very good. He's here all week.
But yeah, like thinking about
It was obvious, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can use that on your next stand-up.
Nah.
thinking about it could be quite involved, because it's not just as easy as fitting a fan. It's like if you've got to work out the room, like the area and the flow and all this, it's rather than taking a jump at it and putting vents in and say, is it going to work or not? It's
just
it might
checking
take
100 mil square vent.
it might take some calculation.
Yeah, we're certainly under Part F of the building regulation. There's quite clear guidance on, depending on the type of room, what air exchange rate is expected and what sort of fan is going to basically give that. So it's not an easy fix. It's quite a technical subject.
You know what we're going to be faced with, though, as gas engineers? We're going to the landlord's check. Landlord's going to be like, I only asked for landlord's gas safety check.
Yeah.
Oh, now you've given me all this to do and this, that, the other. And it's like we're portrayed out to be the bad people.
Or they'd be like, why are you there?
Yeah,
Can you
but
check if there's any mould?
Yeah, but no, but at the end
Well,
of the day,
yeah,
if that
and then
becomes,
you say, there is mould, and now it's going to cost you this amount to do it.
Yeah, but it's like the thing in it. It's like it on the landlord certs. It says, now I don't know if this has changed. You might be able to tell me or not. But on the landlord certs, it says whether or not there's a carbon monoxide detector. Now we was never really down to check them.
No.
It was just on the cert
Yeah.
as an extra, or whether or not do you know what I mean?
But it's like when you go to do even landlord's gas safety or boiler service, doing a tightness test isn't mandatory.
No, it ain't, no.
Because
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was watching Briggs's stories the last few days. He's had an absolute nightmare doing tightness tests on servicing. Every single, a couple of ones, he's had leaks. He's had to be there to get cadent out. They've come to replace something, and now they're passing the blame on to the supplier, saying that the anaconda's not their responsibility. The supplier's got to come out. So,
I mean, it's mad. Like I say, we've had this conversation a bit before. It generated a lot of traction because there was people arguing the toss and stuff like that, and saying, I can't believe they're saying this. But you're not actually down. You're not actually down to do a tightness test.
So this is what I don't understand. So
and why would you not be? You know
exactly.
what I mean?
If you're working on a gas appliance,
it's a landlord safety check.
Exactly.
It's
like when I do a gas hob, I do a tightness test probably 3 times. I do one before. I do one when I fitted the gas cock to make sure it's not leaking up to there. And then once I fit the hob, I do another tightness test to make sure that bit's, because if you didn't do a tightness test beforehand, then you don't know if there's a pre-existing leak
Exactly,
or not.
yeah.
Or if you do one at the beginning and then you fit the hob and now there's a leak, you don't know whether it's coming from the gas cog or your hob.
It's a bit like an MOT, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like saying like, so you do a landlord safety check, yeah, and then an MOT. It's a bit like an MOT, like letting your tyres go with a flat. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. It's weird, isn't it? How that is not mandatory, but it takes 4 minutes to do. Do you know what I mean? Weird. But I've always said it before. What it is to protect the big companies who are issuing the amount of work on engineers to get in and out quickly. Yeah. Because if they do come up and find a leak, then they've got to deal with it. And that's what they don't want. Because they want them in and out of jobs. We all know.
That's why they've allowed drops properly.
Yeah,
it's like only if you smell it, it's like dangerous sort of thing.
But the thing is, you're not allowed a leak on pipework. Yeah. Right. So this is the grey area. You're not allowed any drop on pipework. It's only if you've got an appliance on the system, an existing appliance on the system, and if you've got like a 4 millibar drop, you're allowed that. You're allowed a 4 millibar drop without any smells. Right. But if you turn that boiler off, isolate, and you still got 4 millibar drop.
Is it 4? I didn't think it was
4 millibar.
Well, depending on the meter.
Depending on the meter. If it's electronic, it's 8 millibar, but it's the same drop. 4 millibar is the same as 8, but it's just the diaphragm on the meter, on the governor. But if you turn that boiler off and you've still got a drop, then you've got to sort that pipework. But people do not isolate the boiler because they go, there's an existing boiler on it, and that's how they get around it. Yeah.
And also, who's to say that you do a tightness test and it passes, you leave, something happens, and there's a gas leak?
Yeah, I've always said it. You can put a boiler in, can't you? And you can have no drops on it, but some idiot can come around a week later and they can leave a nut loose. And then the house blows up or whatever happens, and then you was the last one there to do work legally and you've put your name to it. You're basically saying, I was there, but somebody else, he's down the road. Yeah. And then you've got to explain, well, no, actually. So it's a very...
you get handymen coming to fit cookers. I'll just disconnect the bayonet, fit in a new cooker. Yeah, okay, but how do you know that bayonet's not leaking? Because when I first started and I was working for AO.com, I was doing cookers and hobs, and the amount of bayonets, you disconnect it, and then you do a tightness test, or you spray it, and it's just letting by. And it's like, okay, when you put a new hose in, it seals it, but if you're just disconnecting it, how do you know that's not leaking? Unless you're there going...
They go, my mum used to try and do that just to pull it out and sweep behind it. Do you know what I mean? But
going back to Awaab's law, how many people do you reckon are just going to clean it and say, we'll see if it comes back?
I reckon 99% will probably just do that. We'll clean it up and see what happens.
Yeah, give it time to... Maybe that tests it in a way, doesn't it? Because it could have been there years.
Well, you don't know if it's pre-existed, from an old problem, sort of thing. You know, when we've got products of combustion, you try and clean it after you've rectified the problem, clean it, and so people don't get confused by it. But
yeah, I suppose if it's in a bathroom, it's normally a fan issue, isn't it, or a kitchen. But if it's actually in the house, then that's probably more of a vents in your windows or. Because houses don't really have like ventilation systems, do they? They don't need it. So it might be
not this country, really. A lot of the councils put in dehumidifiers, didn't they?
That's perfect. I mean, just from a personal perspective, I've got a 1981 property. It's fairly modern. We've had issues with mould, and a lot of it we've tracked down to the fact that we were drying clothing, particularly in the winter. You don't want
that makes an effect. That's another thing as well, drying your clothes in the house.
So we bought a dehumidifier and it's nailed the problem completely. But and that ultimately might be one of the other things they have to look at.
I think a lot of councils went down that because my mum's house had one fitted, and a lot of councils, when we was on the housing contracts, they was putting dehumidifiers in on the better housing schemes and that. So that maybe was tackling the issue before this very situation become apparent. Maybe that's what they're going to probably be doing.
Or just add more ventilation. Are they doing anything in new builds in terms of better ventilation?
It's interesting. A lot of obviously new builds, because again, the standard with new build houses is to make them as airtight as possible. In fact, they even do an air pressure test. The problem with it, if you make the building airtight, you're going to have the problem with build up of moisture. So what you're finding on new builds is they are putting in MVHR, this mechanical ventilation heat recovery. So every room has normally there's normally 2 vents on the ceiling. One is a air in, one is an extract. So what they're doing is taking that wet but hot air out, extracting some of the energy from it, so it's usable, but making sure you've always got that ventilation sort of through the property. You can get a single point. It's called a PIV system. So if you've got one room that's predominantly always getting problem mould, might be a bathroom, might be a bedroom, you can put a single room PIV system in. But one of the problems is if you've got mould on the walls, yes, you can come in with chemicals and bleaches and things like that, but it's very, very hard to eradicate every spore of mould. It will probably come back, and unless you go right back to the root issue, which is ventilation and improving ventilation, it's probably going to come back.
But like you say, this could be the thing where we see like heat pumps, where heat pumps need as much, they need to keep as much
airflow.
In the pipe with a very low kilowatts output, isn't they? So they're going to try and eradicate heat loss, and that's the thing, isn't it? When you're talking about ventilation, you're then talking about heat loss, then, isn't you? Do you know what I mean? So that's going to be probably a bit of an issue with that, then, isn't it? So maybe these systems that you're talking about, where they're reusing the energy and somehow directing it back into heating the property. I don't know. Bit beyond me, this. Do you know what I mean?
Ultimately, it all comes down, it's got to be a balance. Yes, you need to have a certain amount of airflow through a property, but you also don't want to remove any of the heat from the property.
That's it.
It's a real tricky...
You can't do that, especially with air source heat pumps. You can't do that because they need every drop of energy. They've got the heat loss on them. You don't want any at all, really, do you? Do you know what I mean? Because they're very low output. So that's mind-blowing on it.
Yeah, we went into a bit about the engineers, but like who's going to do it? Do you think they'll put responsibility on a certain type of engineer? Did we mention that?
You've already asked
I
that.
say certainly from what we're seeing with the larger social housing companies,
builders,
they're already either their own internal teams, or they're actually putting specialist mould teams together to do this investigation. It'll be different when we get to the private sector, because then it's going to people like yourselves and all the guys who are doing landlord search. They're probably going to have to stop trying to get.
It's also going to be down to who's going to want to take the extra time to do all that investigation, because if it's not part of a landlord gas safety check, then why am I gonna, like, I'm speaking from my own personal opinion. If I've just been asked to do a landlord gas safety check, we know if there's something wrong with the boiler and you've got to do paper at risk at ID, that's already additional time which you're not getting paid for. So why am I then going to go in and look to investigate mould if I've not been asked to do it? So unless
we're probably preempting that it probably have nothing to do with us.
I don't think gas engineers will do it.
It'll probably
because then it's like, who's responsible? Is it us going, or is it an electrician going in when he's doing an EICR, or is it a handyman who's going in, or is it a plumber going to change a tap?
I think it'll be because of the law that's come out. I think they will issue people to go out and actually mould check.
And maybe this is why we've got this two-phased sort of approach. This is why maybe it was easier for the larger social housing providers to basically, because a lot of them got their own teams, or to subcontract it out. Whereas when it's going to the private landlords, it's going to be much more difficult to try and work out who's actually responsible for reporting and then ultimately sorting it out.
That's it. Yeah.
I guess we would go in and report if we're doing a landlord gas safety, if there's a problem with the boiler and it's not providing heat or whatever, that's obviously down to us. But I think, like you said, I think there's probably going to be, if they introduce this as a separate check,
there'll be a new criteria, wouldn't there? I think there'll be new criteria of checking for dampness, legislation, etc.
I guess maybe someone who does EPCs.
Maybe
it could maybe be an additional part of them that they have to, anyone who's going in to do an EPC.
That almost ties
because that kind of checks. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with EPCs, but I know that they check like energy efficiency and this, that, the other. So maybe it might be a little bolt-on thing that they have to do where when they're doing an EPC, carry out mould inspection or something.
Probably,
You'll soon find out when it comes into law. And someone you work for will say, "Can you check the mould?"
Yeah.
But no, we learned something new today.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to share about it, or
anything from your perspective?
No, I think in terms of what you've discussed and like from the experiences I've seen, it's all pretty. It seems pretty straightforward. It's just in terms of I think the main thing is whose responsibility is it going to be to investigate it and report it? And then what happens after that? And like you said, you've got the emergency situations and then the urgent but not emergency situations. How's that criteria going to change and who's that going to affect?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's obviously a fairly new law. I think it's still going to take a little bit of time for people to really get their heads around what is required. So there's some really good guidance on the uk.gov website. I'd encourage anybody who they think they need to get some more information to have a look there. And I think it's going to be an evolving market. Well, obviously we've been talking about one of the solutions we have from Testo at the moment, but who knows, there may be other products we have in the future that also help towards this whole assessment. I think it's a moving target.
Yeah. Where can people find out more about Testo products, John?
Okay, so they can look at our main Testo website. I encourage, again, anybody who wants to try and find some more information on these particular products or the whole mould and damp sort of applications. So it's www.testo.co.uk. Obviously, the products are widely available through our merchants and our approved resellers as well. But yeah, I would go to the Testo website because it's the best sort of repository of all the information you may need.
Yeah, they're available. Chicks, you'd know more about this. Are they on social media? Can we see them on social media anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, the products that I use, I'll put them up on my channels as well. I think the other ambassadors, because we've got, there's a team of sort of varied engineers. So we've got gas engineers side, there's the heating and ventilation people, there's the damp and mold people as well. So Testo, they've got quite a wide spread of ambassadors working with them, so to showcase off the different products. On my side, it's mainly to do with the flue gas analyzer and the 860i.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that.
They're the two main ones that I use.
I do like that.
Did you want to put your code? Should we put your code in the description for that?
I don't know if it's going to be. I mean, we can, but depending when this podcast can go,
because this bad boy
this is going to expire at the end of November. The code for this.
Is that a gas?
When do you reckon this will be out?
That's for temperature and humidity.
Oh, right. So this goes with that.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Look like a gas sniffer to me.
That's one thing that
Pete, keep your
that
hands
we've
off.
spoken about, the gas sniffer. That
Right.
we spoke about, but we can't speak about it.
Have I opened up a can of worms here again? Have I? Oh damn!
Shh. We saved that for off camera.
Well, I can give you a live demo of the 860i.
Go on then. For anyone watching on YouTube,
This will prove how easy it is to use.
So literally turn it on, green light. Let me open up.
Robbie, you need to get off your bum here and like get a close up of it or anything.
Testo Smart app.
Yeah,
So
got no
that's
cameras
Sitting there
left,
with
can
his,
they?
sitting there with
Flashing
his
orange
hands crossed.
straight
you know what I
away.
mean? His arms crossed.
so straight away on my phone. It just comes up that it's recognised the 860i. Do I want to connect it? Yes, please connect.
Oh. Do you
Do you want me to do that again?
I'm just thinking. Like,
For anyone listening on Spotify, sorry, we're doing a live.
We're doing a live demo. So I'm just going to demo the 860i, how quick and easy it is to get it set up. So press it in for a couple of seconds. You'll get a green light to say it's on. Then it'll start flashing amber while it's waiting to connect. On my phone, Testo Smart app. And then at the top here, it will say connecting new instrument. And in a minute, it will say connected and the amber light should go green. I might need to go into...
It's gone green.
Yeah, there you go. So it's connected. So now I just tap thermography.
All right. Can you get me on it then?
I can. There you go. Look. Pete's head is 32,
Can you see my hot breath?
33.7 degrees.
Yeah, like people who fart on them things and that as well. You know what I mean?
That's an urban myth. You cannot pick up a
Can you
fart
not?
on a thermal camera.
Really not?
No.
I've seen them videos on thingy where they show people. Is it all fixed?
It's
Is it
all fake.
Is it all fake?
fake.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first from John from Testo. All them fart pictures with the thermal imaging are all fake. All right.
And you can't find ghosts on it either.
You can't.
No. We always have people say, "Can I find ghosts with it?" No.
And this is a good thing I like
I don't
about it as well,
believe
that
in
it just
ghosts.
clips to the back of your phone. So you don't have to hold two different devices. You can literally just point and shoot. Can take photos on it.
Can you get Rob? It just clips on the back of it like
Yeah.
that. Oh, that's good, isn't it?
And it's also got a little 3/8 thread on there. So if you've got a tripod, you can stick it on the tripod and then set it up. So if you're going around, I did a job a couple of weeks ago where I fitted a water heater and I just wanted to check when I went to run a hot tap, is it coming out? So I just set it up on a tripod, left it in front of it, recording, took my phone, opened a hot tap, and on here I just saw the hot pipe just getting hot.
How
just
much are these things, John? Do we know? Do we allowed to say that on camera?
The list price £300, I believe.
300 quid.
Plus that.
So
Don't worry, they are drop resistant for up to 1.5 meters.
It's just
I've just
demonstrating.
confirmed it's coming out on the 24th, so your code will be live if you want to share
Code
it.
will be like, right, let me see what the code is.
We'll put it in the description as well.
That is a good demonstration of how they're very robust.
Right, here we go. So my November discount code, it runs out on the 20th. When's it going live? This?
24th.
Oh. Right, if you guys are watching this, you missed out. But if you,
I haven't though. I'm going to get a discount code. Yeah.
anyway.
it depends. If Testo want to extend it till the end of November, and if it is live, the code is CPU Electric, and you'll get 15% off of this from the Testo website.
Okay.
Will they do me a bit more?
You won't buy it, Pete. You'd
No,
want it
mate.
for free.
Mate, I've been wanting one for ages.
But
Mate,
this is a wicked bit of kit. I actually use this more than my handheld one.
I'd use it on everything. I'd go everywhere with it. I
Yeah.
would. Nothing to do with the industry. I just
Worst thing you can do is take it to your own home and look how bad your own home is for heat loss.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I
haven't done that.
guarantee you'll be horrified at how much your house is hemorrhaging heat.
dear. On the outside, you just see it trickling out. Oh, there's 15p worth of gas gone there.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
I would
cheers,
just
John.
like
It's
to
been
ask
very
the viewers
informative,
quick, would you go into damp and mould if you're a gas engineer? I'd be intrigued to see if anyone else would.
Yeah, would you, if you got asked to add that to a report, damp and mould report, would you be up for it? Would you be willing and how? And would it be extra cost? Do you know? I don't know.
Definitely, for me, it would be an extra cost because if it's extra work, I'm not going to do it
Yeah,
for free.
yeah. But how would you feel about that? Let us know in the comments. As per usual, subscribe, like, comment, all helps out with the channel. John, thanks very much for coming in, mate.
You're welcome.
Very interesting. Chigs, as per usual, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, and when you see Uncle next, say hello to him, yeah.
I will do.
Yeah,
Kieran,
cheers, guys. Thank
cheers,
you.
pal. See you
Cheers.
later. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Cheers.